Hey everyone, welcome to the webinar. Say hello to Power Pivot. So in today's session, we're going to learn how to get started with Power Pivot in simple possible steps. So what is a Power Pivot? And those who are not aware about Power Pivot, actually it was introduced with SQL Server Analysis Services tabular model, which was introduced into 2010. And so they introduced a new language called DAX, which is Data Analytics Expressions. Along with that, and in 2013 it became part of the regular Excel, where they also incorporated Power Query, which is an ETL tool, and Power View, which was used to do the visualization, along with the Power Pivot, which has the data modeling capabilities. And they package it together, and then in 2015 they come up with Power BI. Microsoft packaged all Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View together, and they created another product, which is a Power BI. It's another BI, excellent BI tool. At the moment, actually it's a market leader. So what is so those who are familiar with Excel and those who use Pivot, they will find Pivot, it's very handy when it comes to analyzing large set of data. And we can quickly analyze information from multiple perspectives. But the only challenge with the regular Pivot is that if I can select fields from a single table. For example, right now this pivot is fetching information from the orders table, and in my order table I have limited fields. I do not have information related to customer and products, but I have customer ID and product ID. So if I need customer related information, if I would like to see that which country or which customer segment is making contributing towards my sales, and which product actually, what are my top 5 products. With regular pivots, I have to first bring in all those information here by using VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP or maybe Power Query, and I'll join it using customer ID and product ID to then I can use it in my regular pivot. But that is a cumbersome task, especially when my data set is large. Creating a very large table is not recommended. So in those cases, what we can do is we can actually use Power Pivot, and we can use relationships. So we can create a relationship model with relationships, and we can join multiple tables together with relevant keys, and then we can create an interactive experience, something like this. So for example, right now we are looking at year over year and month over month sales performance, and which we can filter or slice through by customer segment, and for the status which has returned, the order for which the returned order, and whether the location whether it's a prime location or not. So I can create an interactive experience, and if I'll look at the field list, my pivot table field list, I get options to select fields from multiple tables. This we do not get selection from multiple tables. We do not get it in a regular pivot. So Power Pivot actually helps us to combine multiple tables using relationships, and we can create models, and we can create a very interactive experience and quickly analyze information from multiple perspectives. So there are some basic differences between a pivot and a Power Pivot. So one thing is that when it comes to source, a pivot, I can have only one table inside a pivot, but in Power Pivot I can have multiple tables and join together using relationships. Apart from that, I can connect with multiple data sources as well while joining. So we'll see it as an example, and we can actually bring in tables from SQL or web, and we can join those multiple tables in Power Pivot. So there is no limitations which Excel may have when it comes to storing data in a single table. So Excel has a limitation of up to 10 million rows, but in Power Pivot I do not get that limitation. I can connect with even larger data sets. Value field settings, which helps us to summarize a given value in multiple ways. Those is available both in a pivot and a Power Pivot. The grouping part, where we can group a new number grouping part, where we can actually group a number field into multiple bins or multiple groups, that is not supported by a Power Pivot. The slices and timelines, it works exactly as a regular pivot, as you've seen in this example. And when it comes to formula and calculations, the regular pivot, we can do some basic calculations using calculated fields, whereas in Power Pivot we have a language DAX, which helps us to build complex business logics. So we can create business logics using DAX, and time intelligence, we can bring in time intelligence and all that. And it's very powerful when it comes to doing analysis. DAX is pretty powerful, and the benefit about loading DAX here is that this we can use it in SQL Service Analysis Services, as well as, and we can use it in Power BI. So it has multiple benefits. And data modeling capabilities, as we just saw, that pivot, the regular pivot, does not offer any data modeling capabilities, whereas Power Pivot, we have the capability of joining multiple tables and creating data models. So when it comes to relationships, so there are three types of relationship. First is one-to-one, whereas let's say so in this example I have two tables. So first table contains a employee ID and name, and second table contains employee ID and phone number. And in both the table I have common field, which is employee ID, and both has unique records for in simple words, so each employee ID is unique in that particular column. So when I create a relationship between these two tables, that relationship is one-to-one. Second is one-to-many. In the one-to-many relationship, so so my first table, when I'm creating a one-to-many relationship, so my first table, in this example, the employee ID has unique records, so no employee, there is no duplicate records for employee ID. But in the second table, I have multiple instances of a single employee ID. So for example, one employee can be part of multiple projects. So, and when I create a relationship, such type of relationship is one-to-many. There is another is many-to-one. So basically it's exact the same, but the way you're looking from. So if I'm looking from one side of the table to many side of the table, then that relationship is one-to-many. But if I'm looking from many side of the table and I'm referring to the one side, then that relationship becomes many-to-one. And last but not least, the another relationship is many-to-many. In many-to-many relationship, so let's see this example. So I have order dates, orders by order date and orders by ship date. And when I create a relationship on date, so I can do a relationship between order date and ship date, because both are date fields. In both the tables, my date fields are not unique. So here also my dates are repeating, in this table also dates are repeating. And when I create a relationship between two such tables, that type of relationship is categorized as many-to-many. Power Pivot supports one-to-one and one-to-many relationships. It does not support many-to-many.